Hi everybody, welcome to the Pranayama tutorial. This is not intended to be a comprehensive tutorial on all things pranayama, but rather to give some just more in-depth instruction on the three main pranayamas that we do here at Burning Wheel Yoga every day. So what is a pranayama? What does pranayama mean? Well, could be as simple as breathing exercise, or as fancy as disciplining the life force. So I'm going to kind of approach this tutorial on that level, right? All three of the main breathing exercises I teach have a very practical reason that we do them, and then also more of a energetic and spiritual reason why we do them. Okay. So the first thing I always have you do is take 5 deep breaths. And the reason is that most of us throughout the day, our breathing is on autopilot. Maybe in a moment of stress, we take a deep breath, right? But for the most part, our breathing is pretty shallow. So that first deep breath that we take is really only about 50% of what we could take, like this. Right? So the second breath that I have you take is about pushing the breath into different areas of the body to stretch out and open up the lungs so that you can take a bigger breath. So each one should be deeper than the one before. And it's also to show you the different areas of your body that you can breathe with when in different yoga asanas or postures. So after taking the first deep breath, the second breath goes down into the belly, right? And I watch you all the time, and I rarely see a belly move. Like, you want to make your belly big and round like the Buddha statue, right? Here we go. Right, in the nose and out the mouth, right? Then the third breath, see how I'm holding my belly in tight? Right, I take the breath in, push the belly out, I'll do it again, and then pull it in and hold the belly in. Because we want the next breath to go left to right into the rib cage like this. And then the last breath goes up into the chest. And the last breath, we combine those together. Think of your torso like a barrel, and you're going to fill that barrel from the belly to the ribs to the chest all the way up to the chin, right? Here we go. Biggest mistake, or most common mistake I see, is doing it too quickly, right? Let the breath fill the lungs, fill the torso as if with water. So after that, we figure we've got our lungs opened up, right? So we can take more full breaths. And then we move into Nadi Shodhana. So that means opposite nostril breathing. Right? And for opposite nostril breathing, you use your right hand. And in the left hand, we bring the thumb and the first finger together, straightening the other 3 fingers, like you're saying, okay, you just rest that on your leg. With your right hand, you can fold your first 2 fingers into your palm, kind of making the hang loose sign. But if that's difficult, which it can be challenging to hold that hand position, you can place your first 2 fingers on the center of your forehead. Then the thumb closes the right nostril. And when we close the left nostril, we're going to use the ring and pinky finger, right? So switching from thumb to ring and pinky finger, or switching from thumb and ring to pinky finger. And we go for a count of 6, right? There's 3 parts to a breath: the inhale, the exhale, and the retention. And the retention could be holding the breath in or holding the breath out. There's no retention in Nadi Shodhana. It should be smooth, so it's 6 count in and 6 count out. Starting on the left nostril and counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close the left, breathe out the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back in through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that makes one round. Right? In left, out right, in right, out left, once. So we usually do that 3 times. All right, let's do it one more time. So why do we do that one? Well, on the very practical level, we're just making sure you can breathe through both nostrils, right? It's always a good idea to blow your nose before yoga practice starts, but if there was something stuck in there and you didn't know it, this would be a good time to grab a tissue and clear it out. We've got 72,000 nadis, or energy lines in the body, not nerves, but more like strands of light on which the life force travels. And the 3 main ones that we're concerned with are Sushumna Nadi, the main channel that runs up the center of the spine, Ida and Pingala Nadis that wrap around the center channel, starting on one side of the tailbone, coiling around the spine, going through the head and ending at the nostril. And then starting at the other side, wrapping around, going through the mind and entering at the right nostril. So we're trying to purify those side channels, right? We're also asking the brain to switch hemispheres back and forth, kind of puts us into a more calm mental state. When we have the breath moving through both nostrils equally, that is a particularly good time for our yoga practice, right? So we're basically telling the body, hey, I want to breathe through both nostrils right now. Not just one or the other. Because normally throughout the course of the day, one nostril is more dominant than the other. If you pay attention to this a couple times a day, touch your nose on one side and breathe, touch your nose on the other side and breathe, and you'll notice that one side is a little more open, the other side is a little more stuffy, and switches back and forth. Right? So we want to try and be breathing through both nostrils equally. Then we do Bhastrika breath. The breath of fire. This breath is really good at opening up the bronchial tubes and clearing any congestion from the lungs and the esophagus. And so you may need to cough or clear your throat, especially if you have a cold when you do this. It's good when you get bronchitis and when you have colds. So I typically do 50 rounds. Now, Bhastrika is a pushing out and a pulling in of the diaphragm, right? Think of a pump, right? We want equal pressure in both directions, out and in, out and in. And it's not the whole belly, not down low, right? But up high, just the diaphragm. See, equal pressure in both directions. There's another pranayama called Kapalabhati, the skull shining breath, makes you feel kind of lightheaded, which is a forceful exhale. And a lot of times in the beginning, when Bhastrika is the harder one to do, and so you may wind up falling into Kapalabhati. Try to focus on Bhastrika, pushing out and pulling in equally. One more time. I usually do fire mudra, thumbs to the ring fingers, straightening the other 3 fingers. Right. Pull the chin into the throat, making a straight shot from the navel to the back of the nose, right? Not dropping the head forward. Just imagine you're lying on the floor and pull your chin in. And then go. breath in, long breath out. Cough, clear your throat. Maybe a drink of water. The last breathing exercise we do is Wim Hof breathing, named after the Iceman, Wim Hof, who invented it. Look him up on YouTube if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the reason I teach this breathing exercise is because science had a number that they thought was the most oxygen that could be in the blood at any one time. That was 100%. And Wim went into a university and did this breathing exercise, and then they tested his blood, and it was 300%, right? It was 3 times higher than what they thought was possible. And so they rewrote the books, as he likes to say. So what we're trying, the reason I'm teaching it is to bring your blood up to optimum oxygen level before we start bending and twisting and stretching and moving the blood into all the different areas of the body. Right? So the way this works is it's 30 full breaths. I like to do it through the mouth, but Wim himself says you can do it through the nose, through the mouth, through both at once. You can switch back and forth as much as you want. Get it in there, right? What you need to do is breathe in as big as you can, but not all the way out, right? I think of it as fully in, 2/3 out. Fully in, 2/3 out. Just do a relaxed state. So it's almost like you're taking more air than you're letting out. You do that 30, 40 times. I usually count them off in 10s, and when we get to the 30, I say, take as many as 10 more. And when you decide to stop, you do the same 2/3 drop. But then you just stop. And you don't breathe in, and you just relax. And you wait. And when you feel like you need to breathe, you take the biggest breath you can, starting down at the belly, ribs, chest, filling all the way up, and then you hold it in and you count to 15, maybe 20 if you're feeling good. After that, you let it out, and you would just, if you were in class, you'd return to slow, deep breaths, in and out through the nose while you wait for everyone to finish up. So let's do it once, right? Here we go. Fully in, 2/3 drop, right? Funny. That's 30. So you can stop at any time. When you decide to stop, drop and hold it out. So hopefully you're feeling pretty good after that. I know I always do. And then we would move into mantras and asanas. I want to add one footnote there. If you were watching at the end, before I took my breath in, so your brain registers how much carbon dioxide is building up in your bloodstream. Not really so much how much oxygen is in your bloodstream. So we did that 2/3 drop, right? So I still kind of had 1/3 of air in my body. I wait until I start to feel like I need to breathe. And then I'm starting to realize that the carbon dioxide is building up. So then you push the rest of the air out of your body. And what that does is makes your brain feel better, more relaxed. There's less carbon dioxide. You let some out, which means you can go for a little longer. And since you've pushed all the air out of your body and created a vacuum, it's a perfect time to apply the yoga bandhas or locks. There's 3 yoga locks. The root lock or mula bandha, and the flying up lock or uddiyana bandha, and the throat lock or jalandhara bandha. And the idea is that we're taking the downward moving energy in the body and contracting the muscles in a way that we're pulling all that energy up to the head, right? And without getting too deep into it, awakening the kundalini and arising the evolutionary energy in the human body. So the way you do it, mula bandha is a contracting of the anus and the kegel muscles in women. And so starting down at the root, right? Just contract like you've got to go pee and you're holding it in. And then uddiyana, or the flying up lock, is the trickiest of them. You have to pretend like you're going to take a breath in, but don't let any air in. And since that creates a vacuum and it sucks your diaphragm up into your rib cage, which is why you saw my rib cage flare way out, my diaphragm suck way up. And the throat lock is just pulling the chin into your chest like we did for Bhastrika to make the straight shot towards the top of the head. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this clears up some of your questions about why I have you do the breathing exercises at the beginning of class and what we're trying to accomplish by doing them. And because jnana, or knowledge, helps in our discerning, and without the knowledge, we don't really understand what we're doing, and it takes a lot longer to comprehend, to hold it all together. Right? So thanks for watching. Remember to like and share with your friends. We'll see you next time. Oh, I almost forgot. If you want more in-depth information on the science of pranayama, then I would recommend this book, The Science of Pranayama. You can find it on Amazon easy enough. Short little read, heavy in information.